My name is Roy Williams and I'm a playwright and a screenwriter. My earliest memory of theatre it's two things actually. The first one was when I was a kid, I used to go to a youth club in West London called the Rugby Club, and they owned a campsite in Dymchurch on the south coast. So they used to get a bunch of kids, kind of the inner city kids who've probably never been out of London in their lives, pack them all in a coach and do a week there. And we would hang out with other kids from other youth clubs around the area. And one day they would take us out on a mystery tour on the bus. And I remember the one mystery tour they took us on was to Eastbourne. And I think it was like the Theatre Royal at Eastbourne or something, big theatre right by the pier. And that was my first time ever I stepped foot in what you call a theatre. Yeah, and the theatres now look very much the same as they did back then. And the show, it wasn't a piece of theatre. It was more like one of those sort of seaside summer specials. But what was special for me was the lineup were full of people who I used to see on TV. So for me, also, it was the first time seeing people who I saw on television up close and personal. So that kind of was my first experience of a theatre rather than a theatre piece. So that was my first memory of it. My second is when I was a kid, slightly older, and my parents were worried about me. I was just not doing very well at school, not misbehaving, although it was a little bit, but I was just having trouble to focus on exams, and I was falling behind. So I went to a Saturday school, and a lot of those were popping up all over the country, set up mostly by the West Indian community, who were concerned that their children, particularly boys, black boys, were being singled out by the school and on racial grounds. And it was. I mean, I remember at my school, some of the teachers' attitudes towards people of colour would make Nigel Farage blush. So it was a lot of that. So I went to a Saturday school with a man called Don Kinch, who was my tutor, and I stayed with him. Went to his flat in Holland Park every Saturday until my grades picked up. He was also a director and a writer, and sometimes on Saturdays, instead of our usual lesson, if he had to go and work with the actors on a Saturday, I would tag along. And I remember just sitting in a corner in the rehearsal room, watching these young actors, mostly of colour, working. And it was a dream. It was absolutely fantastic. I just loved being in their company. They were loud, they were boisterous, they were bloody good actors as well. And the stories they were telling were about what it meant for them to be young, British and black in those times. We're talking late 70s, early 80s. And I just learned a lot from them, and that made me fall in love with theatre, watching them perform and act. And I know if I hadn't had that experience, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. I think what those experiences gave me now is just confidence and a voice, actually, not directly but indirectly. They gave me a voice, because I think, as well as doing badly at school, I think I was just one of those kids where expressing myself was really, really difficult. And also, growing up as a young black kid back then, there wasn't anyone telling me I could be something else other than an athlete, which was that was a stereotype. If you're black, if you're young and black, you got to be good at sports, and I wasn't. I was absolutely rubbish at sports. So that was a problem for me. Just going, well, what can I do? And no one was telling me. That experience going to those Saturday schools was telling me there is something else you can do, Roy. And also it wakened my writing gene, because I knew I was good at writing. But again, no one was telling me, you can make this as a career. No one was telling me that. So I remember when I was 15, in my last year at school, and a teacher came in from outside saying, okay, I'm here to help you boys decide what you want to do. It's your last year at school. What do you want to do? Do you want to stay on? Do you want to go to a polytechnic? Do you want to, learn? I'm here. I've got all the forms for all the careers possibilities. And I think I really, really messed with her, because she didn't have a form for how to be a writer. And she held up, we had to write on a piece of paper what we wanted to do, just going to help her. And I remember she lifted my paper up in the air as an example of someone doing it wrong, filling the form in wrong. She didn't say my name, but she just said, this boy wants to be a writer. That's not very realistic now, is it? And she said that, and that set me back for years, even without realising it. Because the sting in the tail of this is she was black, and she said that. and she was about 12 years older than me. She looked like my sister. She sounded like my sister. And at the time, I hung on to every word my sister said. So I kind of thought, oh, this woman must be right. I can't be a writer. She's right. She's been out in the big wide world. She knows. And I didn't pursue it for a long, long time, even though it would never leave me alone. It was like stalking me for years to do this. But that really, really set me back. Yeah, if I had a time machine and I could go back and speak to my younger self, I would just say, don't listen. Just don't listen. Just keep doing what you're doing. And if anybody tries to put you in a box, you are more than justified to take that box away from them and beat their ass with it. That's what I would say to my younger self. I think theatre is a unique art form because I think out of all the mediums, the writing mediums is the one that's the closest, that gets closest to you, I would say. TV, there's a distance. And also you're watching things that are probably made and filmed long before they showed up on television. Same with film as well. The theatre is right there. It's right there. It's immediate, and it suited me. I think I had a feeling, an attitude of being quite impatient. I wanted, if I was going to do this, I wanted it to happen. And theatre just seemed to be the quickest way to do that. As myself as an audience member going to see theatre, what I enjoy the most is it's not what I enjoy the most. It's what I seek the most. And I remember I had the privilege of meeting many years ago Edward Bond, and he said this to me, and the kind of man he was, when he says it, you really feel like he's talking directly to you. I mean, he was directed to me. He was like, he was looking at me. But then what he said to me is something he said to other writers, but it just meant a lot that he actually took the time to say this to me. And he said, Roy, when I go to the theatre, all I want is three things, just three things. I want to be moved. I want to be surprised. And I want to be educated. That's it. Just give me those three things. That's all. I don't care where the story's set, who's written it, where it is. Give me those three things. And I really took that to heart because I think I met him when I was kind of in between my third and fourth play, still working it out about this crazy career that I've stepped into and everything. And that really, really kind of settled a lot of noise for me in my mind in terms of what I look for when I go and see a play. Anything. That's all I want, just those three things. And it's rare you get all three in the one night. But some of my best theatre experiences has just been the one or even two. I think I could probably count on my hand the times when it's been all three. But yeah, it keeps it simple for me in terms of this business, because it's a hard business to work in. No matter what level you're at, in beginning, established, or or somewhere in the middle, it's still a hard business. And how I choose to, how I survive it is by just trying to keep things simple as possible. My writing day looks like getting up very early. I'm really an early riser. I can get to work sometimes as early as 5 a.m. I love going to bed with a problem and waking up with a solution, and that happens a lot. So I'm not one of those writers who can write during the night. I tried that once and it was unbearable. But I like bright-eyed, bushy tail, up in the morning, straight to the computer, and I work for a few hours. I can have my lazy days. Sometimes some mornings I can waste on emails from the day before. Others, or watching football highlights from the night before, Champions League, match of the day. Any excuse. I do that. Sometimes I waste a good hour on YouTube just watching rubbish. Cats falling out of trees and something. It's evil. YouTube is evil. But I'm addicted. No, I'm not addicted. Cut that. And then I spend the rest of the day just kind of getting to work, and I stop when I feel like it, really. And although where I live directly opposite school, so sometimes I set my break times when here they come, they're coming out for break, and it's just noise. And sometimes I choose a moment to stop there and go downstairs and make myself a cup of coffee, wait till the kids go back inside, and then start again. Yes, I have a mantra. In terms of if I'm sort of stuck on anything, I go back in a weird way. I go back to it's kind of like I ask myself questions, kind of like I almost treat myself as a character in my play. Like I'm in the play, and I just ask myself, okay, why am I doing this? Why am I writing this? And more importantly, what do the characters? Because presumably, I've written a sizable amount of the play by then. Is what do the characters want? What do they want for themselves, and what do they want from each other, and what do they want from the other characters that are also in the play? And then, if you're bold, get the other characters to ask. In fact, go through all your characters and ask each one of them, what do you want? What do you want from that person? And what do you think they want from you? It's just re-interrogating. Just hopefully you'll get the love back, and you'll understand why you've been hitting your head against the wall for the last 6 months trying to write this bloody play. I would say it's kind of just always go back and ask yourself all the time, what do they want, and what's stopping them from getting it? Because I think ultimately that is what your play is about. It's when I often speak to kind of writers. I don't mean to do this, but sometimes I like to trip them up when they sort of say, oh, I'm writing this, and I say, okay, what's your play about? And quite often, a lot of them will say, oh, my play's about Gaza. It's about the war in Ukraine. I think, yep, great, those are important stories to be told, but what's your story about? And I can see the confused look on their faces, and they say the same thing. I said, no. So you're missing the point with respect. You say your play is about the war in Gaza or war in Ukraine or about the NHS. Great. That's not what your play is about. That's where your play is set. That's your world. But who's in your world? Who are they? What are they? And that takes it back to who are they in that world that you're writing about? What do they want for themselves, and what do they want from each other? And you keep asking those questions, and that's when I believe you'll find your play, and you'll write a really, really good play if you remember that. It's all about the characters, what they say to each other, and how they impact each other. Don't worry so much about the world itself. The world is there. That'll take care of itself. Just leave it alone. Focus on the people who are living in that world. That's your play. That's your drama. The moments of misery is when it's not working. When you are kind of beating your head against the wall. That's kind of frustrating. And I'm sure other writers have sort of said this before. I would say take a break, go for a walk. Again, ask yourself questions. Okay, what does this play mean to me? Why do I want to write it? So you kind of leave it alone for a while. And also, this kind of goes into the joy of writing is accept that it's not all going to come out completely good or right at the first go. That doesn't happen. It takes time. It takes the first draft, the second draft, the third draft, and the fourth draft. So for me, the joys of writing is when you decide, you work out what each draft's role is. The first draft, I think, is easy. That's just to get it out of your head and onto the paper. And it's not supposed to be any good. It's supposed to be shit. So buy into that, accept that. It's just piles and piles of words. And in the second draft, and this may lead into, depending on how much time you have or who you are, just basically, a second draft can lead into a third draft. It can be about finding the play you want to write out of the play you've already written. So accept that. I'd just say, so make each draft a task. And it's not a race either. People often ask me, how long does it take to write a play? And I always give the same answer. And they always look disappointed. I say, well, it's true. How long is a piece of string? That's it, really. So I just say, always, each draft is a task. Even by the time you've written a draft that you feel kind of good about, and you feel it's ready to be shown to whoever's commissioned you to show it, the job's not then finished either, because then the director will come on board. Then you'll work with the director, and then they'll probably have some things to say about your play. And then the actors come in as well for rehearsals. So then it's still not over. It's so many different stages, and you just accept that and just keep piling on, really, just carrying on with it, and hopefully it will come good. It's a weird beast, the whole world of playwriting. It doesn't always play fair, but some things you just can't worry about. So I think you just got to worry about the work. Just focus on the work. That's you doing that, and don't try not to get too flustered about the noise around it. Just focus on the work, really. And like I said, accept that it's not going to all come out well first go. That doesn't happen for anyone. There's writing and then there's rewriting, or in theatrical terms, there's drafting and there's redrafting. and because that's when you'll find the play that you wanna write, and it can come out in so many different ways. It's not just about it's too long, or I need to get rid of that scene and such. For me, it's all about the character. What does the character serve? How does the character serve the play that you want to write, and how many characters do you need? And it's all about, again, I think a lot of that is to do with status as well. Um, it's it's important to be aware of that. Kind of like, how many high status characters do I need? Is that too many? How many low character status do I need? Or mid state? It's, and how they interact with each other, and then also the fun is how they see themselves, because the person who's on low status may not think they are, and vice versa. So there's a lot of all that kind of going in to play with, and remember, you're a playwright, but I think by playwright is also someone who's a great chronicler of people, human behaviour as well. I think you got to have an antenna that's tuned in for that, and I think that really helps. And just be honest, it's just like, when you're writing something, just again, it's like I said, finding the play you want to write is kind of like, you just when you begin with, you just kind of, and that's all on instinct. You just got to tell yourself, what am I really interested in? Who's really driving this? And do I really care about them, and do I not care about everybody else? And then you've kind of made the decisions yourself. My moments of joy in writing is when I'm not writing. And what I mean by that is, I like nothing better when I reach the moment when I've done a draft, could be the third or fourth or fifth or whatever. I've done a draft. I kind of feel, I'm feeling quite good about this. There's got more work to be done, and I like to just look at it. I just kind of go up and down, read it, and I just stare at it and look at it, and then just do. Oh, you know what? Let me just add that little bit in there, or maybe I'll just cut that bit down a little bit, and what if I just moved that around? And sometimes that can take hours. I look at it, and then I don't come to that until about 3 hours later. I just look at it, and I think I'm a source of amusement for my friends and family, because they see me doing it. They just say, "Roy, what are you doing? You're just sitting there," and I just say, "No, I'm not. I'm working. I'm just, I'm waiting for inspiration to hit me." That's my great joy. Then when I have moments like that with my plays. What inspires me to write is, it can be anything. It's what someone says, which takes me to a certain point. It's kind of what someone says, but there's also kind of what they're not saying, or what I feel is, particularly when I watch TV, particularly when I make the mistake of watching things like Question Time. That drives me mad, because sometimes I do find it fascinating what people say, but it also drives me up the wall, because I just think, why is no one in that room is going to say what I want them to say? If I was there, this is how I would respond, and it drives me mad when I don't see anybody saying that. I just think, no, come on, that's an open goal we've been given here. Respond, say this to counter that. And so I guess that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm a writer, because I want to have that debate. I'm gonna think, if no one's saying it, if no one's asking it, I bloody well will in my work, and I'll get such and such to say that, and I'll get such and such to respond to that, and I'll get such and such to respond to that. So that kind of inspires me. Anything, what's going on in the world, and but I like the complex. But I also look for the complexity. I like dramas. I like plays that have a few more knots in them, because I think we're all not very knotty, complicated people. I want to see that. I want to see complication as well. I don't want to make it too easy for anybody. I don't want to make it easy for me, the writer. I don't want to make it easy for the characters, and I don't want to make it easy for the audience. And that's kind of how I look for inspiration, and how I set about it. The advice I would give to writers starting out now, they're going to get loads of pieces of advice, but here's my 2 pennies worth. Is when you get down to writing, is don't write what you know. Don't write what you don't know. Always write what you feel. That's key. That's the most important. You've got to feel it. Otherwise, what's the point? You've got to feel it in yourself, I would say, because I think there's too many people who will tell you and base their opinions on how you look, what ethnicity you are, what sex you are. They'll make assumptions about your writing. And if what they say is right, or to a point, fine, act on it. But if it isn't, ignore them. I would say it's important. You must always write what you feel. If a kid came up to me, sort of black kid, and said, oh, I want to be a writer, but my teachers said that it's not very realistic, then I would just say ignore them. I think that's one example, I would say, where an adult, a grown-up, doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. They don't know you. They're not inside your head. How dare they make that definition about you, especially at that young age? How dare they? That's just not on. It's a tough business. As it is, you don't need to hear that crap. I would just get that out of your mind as soon as possible. You will know yourself if you want to do this. And you may feel, you know what, this is not for me, and that's fine. It's not fun. It's not for everyone. Being a playwright, it's not for everyone. And there's a part of me just thinking, why the hell would you want to do it anyway? But if it's what you want, do it and find your own way, and don't listen to anyone who says you can't do this. In fact, about anything, not just writing, who says you cannot do this doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. They don't know you. That's the key. They don't know you. So don't listen to them. It pleases me that my work will help to inspire other writers. It really, really does, particularly ones of colour, I think, because I still feel we need more. We definitely need more to kind of reflect and talk about this country in their own interesting, unique ways, because I think there's so much to be said and debated about as well. I got this from a wonderful writer who's sadly no longer with us, Stephen Jeffries. And he would always say, write on a piece of paper the title of your play, what it's about, and what do the character wants, and what is stopping them from getting it. And just put that on your computer screen. Actually, I'll go one further. What he would like have blanks. So he says blank is about blank who wants blank, but something blank is stopping them from getting it. And it's your job to fill in the blanks. Once you've done that, put it on your computer screen or near where you work and refer to that every day. Always remind yourself, okay, what at the heart of it, what is your play about? Because I think that will help you through rewrites and so on and so on. Always just hang on to kind of what you feel the play is really, really about, and what is stopping your protagonist from getting whatever it is they want.